knew that he had plans to use me, but I had no idea that this could be the place where I would fit in the best.
I prayed and I asked the Lord if He really wanted me to go, I'd sell everything. So I did. My everything was my car.
I talked to my parents about it, and they said if you raise the money, then you're supposed to be there. If you can't raise the money, then you're not supposed to go.
The privilege that I have of being a pastor is that I spend every day trying to speak words of life into people's lives. People forget the truth of who they are and how much God loves them and how important they are to the God of this universe. I was born in the Philippines with a tribal group called the Agta. My parents were there with SIL, or Wycliffe Bible Translators, doing several kinds of work, helping the people, one of which was translating the Bible into the Agta language. I spent most of my childhood there. Then after high school, I came to the United States, went to school here, and my wife and I ended up moving to Japan to teach English and lived there for 3 years. We ended up moving to Texas after Japan and stumbled in the doors of Grace Community Church. We had to change our plans a little bit, but the idea of being in Japan and reaching out to the people in Hita never left our hearts.
How did you decide you wanted to start bringing other people to Japan, like the team?
You want the truth? Okay, in 2009, we missed the year. We pretty much got to Japan every year with our family for 2 or 3 months, and I just felt like we've got to go back to Hita because we're not done there yet. And I mentioned it to Pastor Gary, and Gary said, well, I think you could go for the summer, but I'd really like you to take some young American people with you to give them an experience in missions. And my first thought was, we have way too much to do there to bring along people who are going to slow us down from what God's called us to do. Little did I know that this was really part of God's plan to use these young American people who are in love with Jesus to spread His love to people all over our city, Hita.
I guess I'd always wanted to go to Japan, if not just for the culture, but as far as the mission trip goes, it just sounded like a place where I could really, work for God.
I've gone 3 times. When I went there the first time, I just completely fell in love with it, and it's just like God put it on my heart to just go there every year, and that's what I've done, and it's just been a big blessing.
We have about 6 months of preparation. It doesn't work for us to go into Japan and start to proclaim the message of Jesus if we don't have a cultural platform to connect with the Japanese people on. So the 6 months of weekly training that we do really is to prepare the students for that.
So proud of you guys, your commitment to Japan and to this team. There's going to be a lot of adventure, a lot of fatigue, a lot of challenges, but God's going to use you guys in ways that you won't expect during the trip, in ways that you can't even see after you leave. Lord, I thank you for Steve and for this team. Lord, I pray that all the prayer and the preparation that's gone into this trip, Lord, let this summer be a significant time, Lord, for people in Hita. God, we just send them out with a blessing now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Oh my goodness, it's been a beautiful day, really. It's been team uniting. So yeah, so 24 hours of traveling with probably about 5, maybe 6 hours of sleep accumulated over those 24 hours. Not really all together. Now we are headed to hopefully meet our family soon and go home with them.
It is what? Yo. Yo? I'm sorry, what was that phrase again? One more time. Onamae wa nan desu ka? Nan desu ka?
It was like 30 hours.
Yo, I'm really excited to just see like why God brought me to Japan. And you know, I'm excited to get some sleep.
Oh, hey, Joe. Show me your.
Okay.
I don't remember.
I love big families because I'm from a big family myself. You know, I have a lot of brothers and sisters. So I was just so happy that they had a big family, and plus they were younger than me, and I just felt like I could be their older brother.
Hey.
I cannot speak English.
Kim-san.
You can
Kim-sanです。
speak Japanese.
まあまあ。
行こう。
ただいま。
おかえり。キムさんは空手をしようね。
はいはい。ハート。
すげえ。
ボコボコやん。ボコボコ。で、通りにしては気にしないよ。気を使わないで。
Omiyage is every time you go to somebody's house, it's just something saying like, I was thinking of you, so you know, I bought you something. You play sports, right?
Oh, thank you.
I brought my glove so we can play. Hi. I think it was important because it just showed that we were willing to want to follow their culture. You know, it's kind of like similar to Paul was saying, you know, if I want to be a Jew, you know, I act like a Jew. You know, if I want to be a Greek, I act like a Greek. So, you know, to share the love of Jesus with him, we want to be Japanese. So we have to be Japanese. For your father. お父さん。はい。
お父
お父さん。こんばんは。ケンさんです。
日本語少し大丈
まあまあ。
夫。ジャッキー。
And this is for the kids. And this is for お母さん。
ちゃんとサンキュー言うちゅうたかい。サンキュー。昨日練習した。
すみません。I'm just excited that I have little brothers.
Oh, sit down.
Oh.
Are you hungry? お茶漬け。Do you like?
Any noodle good.
でもライススープ OK?
Hi. I think I'll sleep pretty well tonight.
Last night I was like, man, you know, I'm a little bit worried. I don't know what I'm doing. But, you know, body language got me through it and making faces, you know, because that's what I do. So it was kind of fun. I was like, food, you know. So it got me through it, you know. But this morning, I wake up and I'm like, I feel weird. I don't know. I want to get out of here. I made the wrong decision, you know.
I think part of it is just you're so dead tired from.
You're out of your comfort zone. It's not really easy.
Okay, こんにちは。私の名前はジョです。私16歳。16歳です。よろしくお願いします。
こんにちは、イービホです。今年もスティーブさんたちにお会いできてよかったです。今日はスティーブさんたちも会えて、そしてお父さんも初めて礼拝に出れたので、本当にお願いします。
All in the saints. Go marching in. When the saints go marching in. Go marching in.
日本語ではね、無心と言うんですけど、
無心
心を生かして、神様自体っていうのは実際見たこともない。ですから実際はまあどういうもんっていうのは分かんないので、まあ、私はいると信じて、それを信じてずっと今まで生きてきましたんで、はい。でこういうそのキリスト教会みたいなお祈りする場所は神聖な場所であって。
I'm basically when in Rome do as the Romans do kind of thing. I haven't found a word for commitment in Japanese. So it's very hard to say, are you willing to commit your life to Jesus? Because what is it? We have to find another way to translate that. Of course, Miho-chan is a committed Christian, but her dad is answering very typically the way the Japanese do. Like, maybe there's a God, maybe there's not. I'll pray in case there is. So my life is, I owe my life to my ancestors. So therefore, I have to, I put my highest value on them.
それに対して、まあ、神様がいて、我々を、まあ、私をね、このように生にをさせてくれているということで、まあ大事な言葉があって、順位的にはつけろって言ったらちょっと難しい。仕事の都合とか折り合いなので、まあ今回タイミングがあったもんで。
うちの家族は私だけクリスチャン。ここはもう人間的考えね。もう本当は神様の前やったら緊張しなくていいっていうのを分かってはいるんだけど、今日来るんだとでも緊張したと同時にそれ以上にやっぱり嬉しい。なので、そうとっても嬉しかった。
So today I'm so happy. There's 2 3-year-old classes, 2 4-year-old classes, and 3 5-year-old classes. Who wants to be in the 4-year-old class? 2 people in the 4-year-old class. Okay, 4-year-old class and 4-year-old class. 5-year-old class is Joanna-chan, Jung-kun,
Let's play the heck out of this playground. Let's play the heck out of this.
You're here to have a fun time, to represent Jesus. Oh, hey, come here. This is important. This is Ai-chan, and this is Shin-kun. And he's 5 years old now. And when he was born right the week that we got here 5 years ago, and there was a lot of worry about whether he was going to live. But he lived, and he is a sweet boy. So, hi, you take it aside. Of course, the head teacher's a Christian. Her dad was the pastor who's here for a long time. I don't think any of the others are Christians. But because it's a Christian kindergarten, they teach Bible stories. Whether they believe it or not, I don't know.
Hey Louise, do the cross-eyed face. Which one? Look at all of them and do it.
A lot of people who have gone to church here have an open heart to the gospel. Because even though they haven't become Christians here, a lot of them have heard the Bible stories back when they were little kids because they went to school here. And so now when I talk about Jesus, it brings back these memories and they start crying. This is a strategic opportunity for you. Okay?
Hanging out with all the young children, I think it really was good because in a couple years, they'll remember all these good memories that they had with us when they were younger, and instead of being like, oh, who are they? They'll be more comfortable around us, I think.
They're talking to me, I have no idea what they're saying, but I just smile and they smile back. Is that a process?
It was a lot of fun and a lot of work too. It was exhausting, but I think it was really important.
Over in Japan, it was a completely different culture of children. I mean, the kids, they were so inviting and so happy to see us, and it was really good to have that atmosphere to play with them in.
The best part about doing this is just, we're just creating a relationship with the kids. Hopefully they can come to the summer camp. So maybe in the future, they'll know who we are when we come back. Yeah, I'm having a great time.
Yeah. Thrown up twice today. Exhausted, dehydrated. You name it. That's me. But I'm still having fun. Good.
I think that our commitment to spending time with the kids and trying to connect with them and actually trying to get to know them really spoke about our faith to the adults.
These kids right now who God has called their names, and is calling their names, and is inviting them into a relationship with them, and yet they don't even realize it. An example is that there's one of the kids here, I didn't realize who he was until 5 minutes ago. His dad walked in here, and as soon as I saw his dad, I gave him a hug, because I've only seen him once in the past 16 years. He was only here for 5 minutes, but I asked him, what's going on in your life right now? He said, I'm playing with a rock band. I said, what's the name of your rock band? And he said, it's Trinity. And I said, what, do you know what that means? He said, no, I don't. Now that my Japanese is good enough that I can explain that kind of thing, I got to explain to him what I wanted so badly to be able to explain 16 years ago to him. He gave me a big hug. I gave him a big hug. He took my phone number, and he'll come back. But that's just an example of what's going on here with all these kids. We just think they're here playing games, but we're making connections that are eternal connections. We had a fun day. We had a fun day.
We had a fun day. Thank you very much.
So much fun today to play with you guys. I want to do it again.
I think this is the 2-minute stare down.
The girl was supposed to speak, but she was too shy to speak. She was supposed to give the final word, she was supposed to say some things, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. They just kind of sat here and let it be. They weren't going to let her get out of doing her thing. Finally, they did. Your families, right, have high expectations of who you are. They're expecting that you guys are excellent students, excellent family members. It's going to be hard for your families to have some American person in their home for 7 weeks. You're doing some things wrong. They don't say anything about it, but about week 4 or 5, depending on the family and what the issues are, there's going to be a point where they're going, I don't know if I can handle 3 more weeks of this. I hope that doesn't happen in your families, but I suggest that you just brace yourself for it. That you go through a period of hard times where they feel like we don't love them at all. And then it's going to turn into this agape love where it's like real love. It's refined love where it's not all about how cute you are. And it's like they really feel like, well, he's not perfect, but we love him anyway.
Do I just like caress it, give it some love, or what do I do with it? My goal was really to try to be Christ to them as much as I could, because I knew that they're not always going to understand everything I'm saying about God, and that's not always going to make that much difference to them, even if I could, because with the Japanese people, I think the way that we live, the way that we treat them, and the way that we treat the other team members that went there, I think that communicates much more to them than what I'm able to communicate by my mouth. Eat it, Paul. It's like he works at a noodle shop or something. I want to iron some clothes. It's really fun. I really love my family, and they're like really sweet and take really good care of me. I mean, even though my Japanese is a whole lot better than what it used to be, I mean, it's still hard to think of what to ask and to know how to say it. Hey. Did I scare you? Did I scare you? Never mind. And sometimes it's hard to talk to Mei-chan, my youngest sister. She's in that teenager stage where you're all dramatic and going crazy. I remember back when I first came here, she was real like outgoing and real energetic, but now she's like completely like different. I don't know, she's like changing a lot. It's pretty easy for me to relate with Akane and Moi. They're more around my age, but Moi's kind of older. I guess I relate with her the best because I guess she speaks the most English, you know, I don't know, so it's pretty fun. I like them a lot. They're all a lot of fun. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? He's getting it down, man.
何よだっけ玉ねぎまだ辛いから。お父さんとお母さんは今日。
Oh, they're not eating with us?
Moi-san, she had been to Steve's house in Texas before, and I felt like God put me in that at home for, of course, for the whole family, but more specifically for her, to kind of build upon what Steve had showed her about God. All of a sudden, she just like got this passion for what we were doing there and wanted to really help us. I don't know the reason why she's doing that, but I think the reason why she's doing that is because God's touching her heart and God's calling her by name.
Dear Heavenly Father God, thank you so much for this day, Lord Jesus. I just pray, Lord, you bless our food, Lord Jesus, and you bless our time together, God. In Jesus' name, amen. Itadakimasu.
I just tried to love on them the best that I knew how. And whenever I had the opportunity to share about Jesus with them, I took full advantage of it because I know that's what I'm there for.
We're on our way to visit a guy named Hirosao Ryoku, or Ryo-san to you guys. And he was a senior at Toin High School back when I was here for my first year. And he had some health issues. His health issues have gotten worse, and as of about a year ago, less than a year ago, he's gone completely blind. So he's basically despairing of life. Thinking, why am I even alive? What's the point? So I just thought it'd be a big blessing for us to show up there and give him a hug and pray for him, encourage him. So I appreciate you guys going with us.
I didn't know if he was going to be like a depressed kind of guy. I didn't know if he was going to be more of a positive, upbeat kind of guy, but the way Steve made it sounded like he was struggling.
Right to the table right here. So then just move over here and sit down right there.
Sit right here?
Yeah. Okay. Sit down. And we'll just all sit around.
I drove to the station, I took the train to work, and I was sitting on the, I was typing email, and suddenly, everything's blurred.
Just like all of a sudden?
All of a sudden. Actually, I think the drug overdose, that's the one, the first one, back in May, but well, 3 days later, I found myself lying on the bed in the hospital. And a month later, I tried to jump off from the bridge right here. But actually, I was kind of caught by the other people.
I was trying to think, how can we minister to this guy? I know he believed in God and what Steve was able to invest in him. He ended up coming to the Lord, but I felt like he was very discouraged.
I just feel like I just want to do something, but I've been told like, oh, you don't have to do that. It's too much for you. Or you can't do this.
What dreams are you having right now?
What dream do I have right now? I was told like that you want to teach English, but just remember that I'm not really the native English.
Oh, come on. Come on, your English is better than almost any English teacher in Hita.
Your English is excellent.
Yeah. Thanks for the compliment.
No, I'm serious. I mean, it's true.
It's a fact.
This is the deal, Joe.
But how I get to the place?
No, they would come here.
But actually, without help, probably I won't be able to take a step forward.
No way, Jose. You can do it, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's what you should do. I'm just saying that's one thing you could do.
I think it was really encouraging for him to meet some friends, and through the relationships that he built with us, I think that kind of set him free from his depression.
If I have like people around me like saying like, oh, just do it. Actually, no one never ever said.
Well, that's why we came here today. I thought, you know what, Ryoku needs to hear that he is God's gift to Akizukimachi.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord still has a plan for your life. It's good. And people are still going to be blessed from this out of Ryoku for years to come.
That really encouraged me. Like walking away from that situation, I felt like, whatever kind of comes my way, I'm excited to deal with it. You know what I mean? I'm excited to tackle it and go after it.
Okay. Yeah. Good to see you. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. So good to meet you.
What they do here is they train the handicapped people to learn a skill that they can use so they can get a job and support themselves. I was expecting like a lot of hospital mayhem, I guess, like people running all over the place and people coming in and out, and so they just like have me come in here and doing crafts with people. It's kind of interesting. Oh. He asked me where have I been in Japan. It's like I can understand when people say it, but I don't exactly remember how to say it back. So it's kind of a little annoying. I'm getting to know some of these people, and I'm being diligent, I'm being respectful. I hope my folding is sufficient. When I kind of walked in, I kind of saw everyone was just kind of, you know, just sitting around kind of doing whatever they were doing. And they didn't really I didn't really see any kind of hint of joy on their face. And then I was able to come in and, you know, act goofy or whatever and just talk with them. And I felt like everyone, you know, everyone had a smile on their face. And I was just able to bring the kingdom of God with me into that place, you know, and the joy of the Lord.
The jobs are important because it's one more way for us to connect with the overall community. You gain a different level of prestige and respect by coming there to work, to serve, than you would if you just came there simply to just hang out and have a good time. They put you up on a higher level because you're willing to really give of yourself to contribute to the society.
Volunteer.
Volunteer.
はいはい。はい。すみません。名前は中島。中島さん。よろしくお願いします。
Where is Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
キムさん、面白いね、彼は。もうおればいいのにもずっと。説明して。おいしい。おいしい。
I really got to connect with so many customers. Every customer that came in, I really got to share why I was in Japan, what I was doing, and they would come back, you know, on the days that I would work just to converse more with me. And my boss saw that, and he wanted to know more about Jesus because of it.
How do I like do this?
楽しいよ。
You just like
ハマるし。
squeeze it?
早いもん勝ちだそうだよ。本当にそう思ってるんだったら、いつでも。彼らが帰っちゃった後でも。
そう、もう帰ってしまうと自分薄れてしまうんですよ。
でしょ。
なんか多分影響されてるけど、やっぱ関わらんと薄れてしまうっていう。
そうだね。
じゃあもし自分が今信じてるんだら、もうそれだけでクリスチャンだよ。
本当はそうなの。本当はこうイエス様私は自分の主として信じますって言った時からもうイエス様は私と共にいてくださるし、私たちがもうイエス様のものであって、そして天国行けるっていう約束はもうその時からあるんだけど、宣言とか献身っていうのはそれをこう形にして表すっていう。やっぱりこう
What was going on in my mind is I'm hoping this pastor isn't saying something that's going to scare her, because I feel like the Japanese people are so sensitive when it comes to religious stuff or talking about God, and a lot of times they really don't want to talk about it.
自分が信じてそれだけで本当はいいんだけど、それだけだと多分ね疑う時が来る。私これでクリスチャンって言えるんだろうかとか、なんかたまにはこう教会なんかも行きたくないと思う時も出てくるかもしれないし、そういう時にやっぱこう長い人生絶対そういう時ってあるの。
なるほどね。なんか難しいな。
I felt like Even though it was maybe a little intimidating for her, I think it was good because it kind of fermented the stuff that had happened in the past and kind of explained what was going on.
I understood to be a Christian, but now I can't. I can feel God when I'm with you guys, but when I'm alone, I can't. My friends don't believe Jesus. And when I was reading a Bible at school, they laughed me and they said there is no God. So I was sad.
Her life's in the Lord's hands, and I think it was good for her because I think that was the first time maybe she heard the gospel message in Japanese, and the Lord was working through that.
I'm the principal of the school.
I think it's extremely important for us to go to schools because when we're in Japan, our main purpose of there is doing the summer camp. And it's for high school and junior high students. But how do we get high school and junior high students to come? The important thing about going to schools is it gives us an opportunity to get to know these people.
Today we have a special class. We have some visitors. Okay? Some visitors. So, Minasan, don't be shy. Oh, I'm scared. No, don't do that.
I like to play the piano. What do you like to do?
My hobbies.
Mustangs? Oh, basketball. Basketball.
I was just asking them some questions, and now we just reached this moment of silence. They started whispering about something. What do you like to do? Baseball? Yeah. Good. So do you play baseball in school?
We've been trying to communicate with students who speak very little English, and we speak very little Japanese. But making faces works pretty well.
Favorite animal? You have a favorite animal? I'm just teaching these kids, trying to translate, but it's not working completely because I don't read kanji.
So, yes or no? Hi or no?
Like the whole teach English and all that was a struggle. And it could be frustrating, like really, really frustrating, because you think you're speaking something very simple that they'd be able to get, but they don't. And the exact same way around. Like they're telling you something that to them is so simple, and you have no idea what's going on.
What do we need to talk about? Or what do you need to hear from me?
The kids are very shy. Like all the teachers said they were.
The junior high, they were much shyer than the high school. The high school, it was very easy to talk to the students. I can see if we went back there that, when we go back on Friday for the sports, right? Yeah, I think we're gonna have a great time with the students.
The elementary school kids are hard.
Oh, because they don't understand.
They're not thinking about what am I supposed to do now. They're just thinking about how can I make the most of it and have the most fun. So
and how can I not listen?
まずは、誰に聞きに行くのかを班の中で今1分で作戦タイムを取ってください。はい、どうぞ。
The quality of my English has dropped significantly since I've been in Japan because I'm speaking English very slowly and very simply, and I don't have a broad vocabulary, and oftentimes I forget words.
私は宮崎が好きです。
Honestly, from the beginning, I doubted our purpose in the schools. I felt like we were just kind of standing there while the teachers were teaching, and it was kind of awkward to start out with. I felt like I was wasting my time the first couple of days, but as we went back, I was like, okay, I think I realized what's going on, because if I can't remember their names, how am I going to show them Jesus? You know.
Your names one more time. Honoka. Yep. Honoka and.
All the students were like just looking at us like we were basically gods or something, and they were praising us, and they were like so happy to see us. There was times where I was so excited because I just felt like a celebrity, and I was just trying to keep that down was really hard for me.
Language was a huge, barrier as far as, actually getting to know them personally. I could ask them their name, and we could, exchange, information about our pastimes and whatnot. But I guess my main strategy for dealing with that barrier was humor.
Joe, can we give him a big old Texas absolutely? Let's all do it together. 1, 2, 3. Absolutely.
It really opens the door to somebody when you can make them laugh, because then they're more willing to, talk to you about, whatever.
It was really good that we had the whole team there together. If we didn't have like our friends and stuff there to encourage us, and that were going through the same struggles, it would have been a lot harder to deal with.
So how many kids we're gonna be there? Like 50?
Yeah.
Somebody should be doing something while we're waiting for everybody to get there. Because we could have like 30 kids, and we're still waiting on like 20 more kids.
Stalling games. Those are good. Like icebreaker stalling games.
Okay, so put your legs apart and touch the feet of the person.
I didn't know what the camp was going to be like. So when Steve asked, do you think a camp is a good idea? I didn't know how to answer, because I hadn't seen exactly how effective it is building relationships and being an event in Hita.
Erika! Kasumi!
Kasumi? Sheen?
It's just cool to know their names, because it's important when you know a person's name to be able to say it to them. It means a lot to their heart.
We don't have almost any chance to get contact with Christians cultures. This is a good chance to touch Japanese students.
Japanese people aren't willing to accept the gospel apart from a relationship. If you ask any American person who's following Jesus, 99.5% of them came to Jesus through a relationship with somebody else. And if that's true for American people who grew up in a culture that is favorable towards Christianity, how much more is it important to understand that Japanese people, for the most part, they don't come to Jesus apart from some relationship.
I do know that Honoka gave her life to the Lord, but because of the way we reached out to her and loved her and accepted her and just spent time with her, that's why whenever we shared the gospel message with her, made such a big impact on her heart, and the same with the other students.
She was probably the third person to give their life to the Lord, and that was really encouraging, I think, for all of us.
I can say I don't know if he does exist or not. I'm still thinking about it. I want to know each religion stuff, like Christians, Buddhism, Shinto, and others. Then maybe I can decide.
I really felt like if we weren't acting excited about stuff, and like whether it's something completely stupid, like Steve said, he's like, if we say let's go pick up green rocks, then everyone's like, yay, let's go pick up green rocks, And it didn't matter how ridiculous it was. If we acted like we were having a great time, those students were having a great time. If there was a moment where we're all just kind of like, oh, then the students are gonna respond the same way.
I have no energy. I have no energy. I'm just speaking from the heart and saying that dead tired, and I just want to take a nap. There's no way I can do this. God's gonna have to give me the strength to do this because there's no way.
Now we've got the most important week left, and we're tireder now than we've been up to this point, and we need to have more fun, but joke less than we've been doing up to this point. Now's not the time to slack off.
If we aren't pushing ourselves to the absolute limit this week, why we're here? This is the last week. This is it. I mean, think about your first Japan meeting, and yeah, him telling us how hard it's going to be, and now we're here in the last week. If we're not pressing as hard as we possibly can and asking God to give us even more energy to make us even more tired, then yeah, there's no reason for us to be here.
They could see our attitudes about what was going on. And there was frustration and there was tedious moments, but I think for the most part, the Holy Spirit really showed up and kind of fixed our attitudes when we needed it. And without that, the Japanese students wouldn't have felt the presence of Jesus. The camp it's like our event in Hita, and without the camp, it would be actually a lot harder to connect with certain families and organizations that we were able to.
They want to communicate with us because there's something in us that they want to get to know, that's Jesus. And they don't understand that, but that's what they're longing for. Little by little, step by step, some of them will come to Texas and see us, and they'll live in homes and families where the Holy Spirit reigns, and they'll be touched by that. So it's just one step at a time.
Even if you're just playing a couple of games or you're sitting around painting a t-shirt or whatever, the camp gave us opportunities to just spread the light of Christ.
They knew that we cared for them and we actually wanted to be their friends, so they wanted to do what I guess they thought Americans did.
Karashima Sensei's church specifically, there are usually somewhere around 10, 15 people there on a Sunday morning. So when we get there at the beginning of each summer, it's business as usual. There's not a lot of people there. However, with all of our students in the different homes and us going to church every Sunday, by the time we got to week 7, they say, hey, why don't you come to Karashima's church? There's not too many people who are thinking, no, I don't want to go. I think they're eager to go. They're eager to find out what church is all about.
Zero ですね。何もない。だから私たちはそうしたいなら解放されました。もう受けなければならない罰はもうなくなりました。だから私たちはみんな解放されています。もしそうしたいなら神様があなたのことを本当に愛しています。そうしましょうね。毎日毎日神様に私たちのすべて、私の力、私の心、私の思いのすべてをどうぞ神様にいただいてください。
At the end of the message that I gave, I invited everybody to stand up and to pray a prayer after me in which they told the God of this universe that they believed in him and entrusted their lives to him and were putting their faith in Jesus. For some of them, they really were listening to what I said and they were accepting what I said and they really meant what they prayed. Now, whether or not they're willing to the next day say, I make Jesus my only master, is another question. But it's a step in that direction.
hit me, man. I'm leaving Japan. I don't want to.
Wow, it's like sit down perfectly. Thank you. Well, it was planned for outside, but we moved it inside because. Right. Yeah. Nobody likes lightning. Take him something for the surprise.
本当にありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。
Komplett show.
Arigatou gozaimasu. Arigatou gozaimasu. Arigatou gozaimasu. 本当にある。本当に。